Hi, everybody. Welcome to TV3's Spartan Sports Report, the first of many programs here tonight. I'm joined by Brent Duncan, who is Athletic Director at CHS, and Sam Harvey, who is the radio voice of the Spartans. I'm Fran Schummel, and here we go, fellas. Sam?
Fran, I'm looking forward to this. Pleasure working with you. You and I had an opportunity to do a game on the radio a couple years ago, right. And I just feel a real honor to be sitting next to you because for so many years you were the voice of the Connersville Spartans on WCNB, and now, of course, it's WLPK. But I think between us, we have over 50 years of radio experience.
You've reminded me several times you grew up listening to me on the radio.
Back in the 70s,
you were about like
60s,
that and everything. But anyway, here we are.
Here we are.
We've got to welcome this guy next to me.
Well, we're very glad to have Athletic Director Brent Duncan with us here tonight.
Absolutely, because this guy is pretty busy.
He's very busy. Everything's been going on all summer long. Tennis courts, Spartan bowl floor. Just a lot going on here with our facilities, let alone the athletics that he has to take and the athletes that he has to take care of.
This is a big week for you because about everything's getting underway, school and then all the sports too, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on your inaugural show. It's kind of a pleasure to be here. Of course, anytime you can talk about the Spartans and athletics, for me, that's a positive. So. But yeah, today was actually the welcome back day for all the teachers at Fayette County. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow we have another teacher day, and of course Wednesday the kids come. But the big thing for me today was the opening practice of every sport for the fall except for girls golf, who actually started last Friday. They were actually in a match today at Richmond. I don't know if it got concluded or I haven't heard any reports back from my coach yet. So, but this afternoon about 3 o'clock, it was a little crowded in the athletic office with all those. I forgot to turn my physical in and get all my stuff done, but. They're raring to go. Of course, football actually started at 12:05 a.m. on Monday morning when I allowed them into the gate.
I was going to ask you.
I was just making sure it was definitely Monday morning before I let them step onto the complex.
Did you blow a whistle or shoot a gun or what?
I actually had to chase them back the first time because they thought they could come in when they wanted to. So they all had their phones. They all had their phones out going, "It's 12, it's 12." And I said, "Nah, it might be on your clock, but it's not close enough past midnight for me yet. So go back out until I tell you can come in." So
this is something Adam Kelly started. Do you know why?
I think it's just a change of what we had as far as atmosphere goes. Something new, something maybe exciting, get the kids fired up about. And there's been discussions whether it will continue, not continue. It's a little different now. On their first day, they can only have one practice session of 90 minutes. So, you got a question: are you better served to have it at 12:05 in the morning, or are you better served to have it 7 or 8 o'clock on Monday night, where kids have been up and around and they're not out all night. So he's debating.
So this is the official opening of practice according to the IHSAA. But the kids have been doing things on their own, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. Most all the sports teams at some point in time have either had open soccer field, open gym. I know Coach Brown does open gym in June, and in July they just do all weights. Of course, Coach Thompson has open gyms and leagues all summer long, and Coach Pfeiffer's got her volleyball team playing in a couple leagues and different games, and soccer team went to camp and traveled, and so it's been busy. Of course, where I live on Elephant Hill, you see the cross-country kids about every so often come around the top of the hill getting that little workout in. But they've been pretty much busy all summer long.
Can the coaches have contact with them?
You can have contact. They've opened up a little bit more. There's a certain amount of days of how many, but you can always work with two athletes individually, one-on-one, with two at any given time. So if I wanted to give lessons to two basketball players, I could have two in at one time from our own school. But not so many of them do that, but they have a number of, and they're all different, but there's X amount of days in the summertime they can actually work with them.
And the number of schedules is told to you by the IHSA, aren't they?
The number
of practices, I mean.
Yeah, the football coaches have really put some restrictions on football, and I think they can have 12 what they call days where they can be in pads total, and they have to declare what 12 days there are. So, and then you have to be doing certain things at a certain time, and take a week off at July 4th for moratorium week.
Yes.
Yeah. And now that practice has started, one concern I know because it is outdoor athletics for the most part, that they really have to stay hydrated and they have to watch themselves that way. But with that, it helps with their conditioning to having had some of the camps and some of the things they'd done previously. But I know that has to be a concern.
Well, it's always a concern, and of course, for us, thank goodness, with Fayette Regional Health Systems, we've had 4 super trainers. Unfortunately, the one we have currently is getting ready to head back home to Michigan, and we're getting ready to replace her with Audrey Shaw, who's another chirper from Ball State, and knock on wood, all 5 of them been with Ball State, and they've all been really good. So she's jumping on board, and she was at midnight last night with her and Heather. And but yeah, I just actually posted a thing on our ConnersvilleAthletics.com site the other day about helping your athletes stay hydrated and what the signs are if it looks for heat illness and all those are things that are important. Which back in the day when you and I played, water was a taboo and salt tablets were.
Yeah.
And that's totally opposite of what it's supposed to be. So I think we've done a much better job from that side in the last decade of making sure we know what the kids truly need to have their best performances.
So these medical personnel are actually on site during the training sessions?
Yeah, our trainer will be on site every day.
I see.
And then they usually are housed at the football area just because that tends to be where the biggest injuries occur. Plus, there's an office there for her so she can keep her supplies. And of course, soccer's just on top of the hill. And basketball's a little different because she's usually at the bowl. Leaves gymnastics a little bit out of the case, but sometimes when there's a basketball and a gymnastics meet, I send her to gymnastics. Having a daughter who's done it, I know the injuries tend to be a little bigger and a little greater at times than you get at basketball. But
okay. Tell us what's going to happen Saturday.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be here, but I know there's a big Spartan day at the park with Adam. He's got it set up from first grade through high school, starting at, I want to say, 10 in the morning till, I think the Spartans are actually going to scrimmage around 6 or 6:30. And I'm sure that's just based on the other things that happen along the way.
Sure.
But I know they're coming down later in the afternoon. And I know the Colts are doing a blood drive, and he's got Anytime Fitness coming. He's got some personal trainer things, and he's got some, I don't know, I think the drug, I don't know what he's got coming. He's got a whole slew of things that they've set up through their quarterback club to have between sessions of when the kids are practicing and scrimmaging with each other.
You got to like the enthusiasm that Coach Kelly brings along with him. Of course, he's a former Spartan himself, and I just think it was great that it was a good hire. It was good for him, good for the community, because he understands the community and is trying to put Spartan football on the map. And face it, over the years, we haven't had a whole lot of success from time to time, but since he's been here, there's been a lot of enthusiasm, more numbers, and I think the kids have played well. And you look at the schedule they play, it's a pretty tough schedule right now.
Well, I think he's done a really good job of selling the program and recruiting. And, he's big on the bling will kind of attract him, but I'm not always for that. But I think with the staff that we've put together, or he's helped, grab, and are all ex-players that have a little blood, sweat, and tears out on the field, except for one, Ron Paxton, who was a first-year teacher last year from Bluffton. But he's a great enthusiast, and he's in the weight room every day, and he's come to every opening. There may be a new teacher wanting to help out this year as well, but it's with all of our programs, with David Ellison softball, and then the implementation of taking the girls to the weight room, and the volleyball girls are in the weight room, and of course Adam was instrumental in getting a $20,000 grant for PE, updated the weight room for this year, so it's got nice blue racks in there with the word Spartan on them, and they look pretty sharp. They painted the weight room, so it's just all those little tangible things that kind of attract kids' attention, and I think all of our coaches have kind of bought into that, and all are now the hard work does pay off. And I see kids that don't want to do hard work are falling off the side, which we don't want, but we don't have that 1 or 2 coaches that just get to do whatever you want anymore, and they all flock to that sport. So now each of them have bought into that. We have to do this, we have to do this, we have to get in the weight room, and I think we're starting to see a little bit of that success pay off and that work.
This is a year we play 4 home games, 5 away.
Yeah, unfortunately, you usually have a scrimmage, and it was actually our turn to host the scrimmage, and it was also a contract that we had been trying to get out of, because if you've come around the last few years, we've played Indianapolis Northwest, and then we scrimmaged them a couple of years, and it really wasn't getting us any benefit to scrimmage them just because of their numbers or whatever the reason was. Well, had an opportunity that Monrovia, who was a semi-state 2A participant last year, had called, and they were supposed to host. So you go back and you look at the financials, and you don't like to give up gates, but for the little bit of money you make for hosting a scrimmage compared to a regular football game, it wasn't worth losing a quality scrimmage opponent So we're going to be no scrimmage at home and 4 home games, and then next year we'll have the scrimmage plus. So we'll truly have 6 home games next year and 4 in a row. So it'll balance out in the end, and we'll try to adjust as we go along.
Hopefully we get a couple sectional games.
That'd be great. I mean, unfortunately, fortunate for us, the last 3 years, I think we've hosted the first round, which, your odds hosting that first game are starting to get slim, but as long as they keep drawing the right lot and the right number, we're in good shape.
And football season opens when?
Well, our first actual football game is the 21st of August at Richmond, 7 o'clock start, and our first home game is August 28th at home against Franklin County.
2 years ago, we went to Richmond. They just put in the artificial turf field and a beautiful facility. I hate to say anything nice about Richmond, but it's worth the drive up there to Live-Oak Field and to take in the game. And of course, I'll put a little plug in. If you can't be there, you can tune in and KMix 106.9. And Dave Pollard and I will have all of that all season long. But it's a close game. Be nice to see a lot of people go up there for that. And it seems like the last few years we have traveled pretty well. Our parents and fans, we have a pretty good following when we go on the road.
Good.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, compared to what I see people come to our place, and I go to all the away football games, and our crowd is generally much larger than a lot of the crowds that come to our place when they're on the road and we're hosting at home. And for me as an athletic director, you want as many people you can get because when they come, it's just better money for your gate. But it's also a better atmosphere when you got people. It's kind of hard to play in a dead stands. And
concessions make some money.
You can count the number of people in the stand on your hand. That's not a good thing. So.
But home games, I'm impressed year in and year out that we had some winless seasons and we would still pack a lot of people in there, and it's grown since Coach Kelly has taken over.
Yeah, I've always been pleasantly surprised, even back when I was coaching in the 90s and with Coach Radke and just the number of people that came, even though you're struggling and going through. But, for that time of the season, the only game on Friday night is the Spartan football team. There's no volleyball, and I'm sure that's just set up so everybody can go to the football game. So,
what's the capacity of a Spartan Stadium seating?
That's probably a good answer that I can't answer.
Oh, I
probably need to look that up. I'm guessing it can probably hold 2,500 counting our side.
Easy, yeah.
Probably.
To the other side.
Sam, you go to a lot of football fields. Compare Spartan Stadium with some of them.
Well, I tell you what, they put in the new turf out there a few years ago, and the drainage and the watering system, and for a natural turf field, it's as nice as any of them that we go to.
Really?
Yeah. We have been to a few artificial turf, of course, Richmond and Columbus East a few years ago. We went down there and played in the sectional, and those are nice. But there's just something about that natural turf, and the crew does a great job out there of taking care of that field.
Yes,
and
they do.
I just think the whole stadium, the new press box, it's second to none, and the just the atmosphere, the parking, everything is it's on the campus style setting. We really have some nice facilities.
Yeah. Talk about facilities. I know the tennis courts being replaced this year, so that means all the tennis matches or meets, whatever you call them, will be away on the road.
Yeah, it just got to the point where patching them and trying to save them became a futile effort as they were cracking this time. Not only were they cracking, but they were starting to sink. So I guess when you start to think they're sinking, you got to start to assume that something at the sub base is not correct. So instead of throwing good money on what we would consider bad money, they were able to do some reallocations of money when the Spartan Bowl project came back in a little bit under what they were anticipating.
Good.
And since they'd already allotted that money for athletic purposes, they said, let's start rethinking about upgrading some of our other facilities. So unfortunately for our boys, all their matches will be on the road this year.
Yeah.
In fact, Cambridge City, Centerville, Rushville, Union County have all graciously said we can come and use their courts whenever needed after their practices are done. And,
Good.
Or when they have an away match. So it's good for us, but fortunately the kids are on a bus every day going someplace to practice. They are going to try to use the park courts a little bit. They are definitely going to need some repair, but
Yes.
they're good enough to maybe serve and volley on, but to actually get out and actually play, there are a couple of places I'm afraid they'd twist their ankles or step in the hole and we'd be losing them. So I've scheduled them for the park on Friday only because of football games, in case they want to come to the football game. They're not 20 miles away trying to get a practice in at 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be good when it's done, once it's up, and hopefully it should be done by the middle of October to right before November, and Spartan Bowl will be done about the same time. And for the girls, there'll be the first opportunity in the spring to play on what we think will be 6 very nice courts. And then lights are coming. They're not here yet, but they've been talked about. And, you know, it's hard to run a tennis program in the fall without tennis lights because your JV kids will run out of daylight. And if you don't have lights, then your numbers in tennis will drop because they won't be able to play any of the JV matches. So,
yeah, I know you have some plans for more improvements at CHS.
Yeah, there's a
fields
master plan in place, which was pleasantly surprised and happy with. And this fall, the high school, along with an architect firm out of Richmond, has partnered up with the WTCC, and they're going to build which is long overdue and needed, the start of, if you know where the loop is at the high school, inside the loop, there'll be about an approximate 2,000 square foot press box, concession stand, restroom, as the hub of what will eventually be 2 new softball fields and a new soccer field for the kids. And, you know, that's all we need is just the better we can make our facilities, you know, hopefully you get more kids involved and, you know, and other kids around. You don't like to say that, but maybe that's something that will attract people with our early college, high school, some great outstanding athletic facilities. You may have people that are moving in the area from a new job, may look at your school, say, hey, I like that you can get 50-some credits for college here. You got all these great athletic facilities. Instead of moving X, Y, or Z, let's move into Connersville.
And it's a little different now, too. The restrictions aren't as quite what they used to be. You can live in another county and come here to school.
As long as your school will open up the doors, which they have open enrollments, and they will accept you in as a freshman, you can go to wherever you want in the state if you can drive and get there every day. If you want to drive to South Bend every day, you could actually, if they'll take you. You know, some schools will put restrictions on you to get in, but I don't know how many we've had try that here at Connersville yet. But, you know, it never hurts to have your facilities be upgraded and, you know, for your kids to give them the best things they have to compete with everybody else in the state.
Is this a plan for next year, or when might this happen?
Well, the concession stand / press box should start here as soon as school starts, and it has been said they would be finished by the end of the school year because, you know, you're trying to use your kids in your WTC to help with the block and the woodworking and the with Mr. Walton's class and Coach Sargent's class will be helping with some of the electricity stuff that they can do. There are things they obviously can't do, but
sure.
And then it will have a second floor on it. They're actually going to put a restroom up there for the workers so they don't have to try to sprint down to the bathroom. They'll have a place upstairs to go to the bathroom between innings, which will be great. But
great opportunity, a learning opportunity for those kids at the Career Center to be able to do that. And also, they may get to use them then during sporting season. A lot of those students there also athletes.
Well, it's a win-win for us because it gives them something. You know, they used to build houses. Houses aren't always selling very well. Brad, the building and trade guys, he's very excited about being able to help us in our athletics and the school corporation in general, upgrading things they need to get upgraded. You know, we've talked about in the future maybe building new ticket boxes and, you know, how old those have been around for a while, and they could use some upgrading. So he's excited. He helped a little bit with baseball. If you've been out to the baseball field and you've seen the wooden fence and the wooden lean-to, he helped build those two things. He didn't have anything to do with the dugouts or any of those things, but in time, that might be something we can look at using our kids and our resources, which also helps with your labor costs. So
certainly,
so
saves
it's
some
a
money.
plus a little bit on everywhere you look at it. The experience for them and gives us some great benefits.
We talked a little bit about Spartan Bowl. Give us an update, and also I know that pieces of the floor continue to be sold, and starting first home football game, you'll be able to, people that want a piece of the floor, be able to buy it there.
Sure. We've had 2 sales. You know, we sold, obviously we've been trying to sell as many of the larger pieces that we can, but not everybody wants a 4 foot by 4 foot section of Spartan Bowl, unlike Sam, who didn't buy one of that size, just so you know. But what it means to Sam is so much different than what it means to everybody else, you know, and Spartanettes and cheerleader one piece of the sideline from where they stood and cheered, and I don't remember Jake Geesting, who's a dentist in Brookville now. He said, I want the piece where I fell on the floor and broke my arm in the JV game now. If I could guarantee him that was, I could tell him that was that piece. Or one guy come in and said, I want the place where Coach Malby stood. And I said, well, I don't think we can tell you where that's at. He goes, well, it was red, wasn't it? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, I'll just take this piece of red and I'll just tell everybody that's where Coach Malby stood. So they're not going to know any difference. But,
I'm sure he stood somewhere.
At that point in time, he probably went from one end to the other because there was no restrictions on where the coaches could be for the most part, as long as you weren't getting too hard on the officials, but until half court. But we're going to plan on selling some 1 by 1 and hopefully some 2 foot by 2 foot sections at the first home football game, if not before, but definitely by the first home football game. And those are going to run, the 1 by 1s will run at $20 a pop. And that's just because we've grinded the nails down and trimmed them up. Hopefully they look pretty good. But it's a solid piece of wood. I mean, it's taken a long experience of how you cut it and how you get the nails out. And my wife and I experienced a few of those in the garage trying to practice. And then, of course, the H&E machine's been great about allowing me to store the wood there. And JD and his staff's been super about helping cut it up and help out and tow it and store it and stack it and get it back out. And I don't know how many people would do that, but it's been awful nice of them to do that.
And you include a card of authenticity with it.
Yeah, I kind of thought when I get it, is like, how somebody just don't go get a piece of wood and try to swap it off. So I created a little certificate of authenticity that had a school stamp on it. And I signed it and dated it, and that way at least you know what you do with it after that is up to you. But I hope you keep it and save it for a lifetime. But,
Halloween, October 31st, the girls play a basketball game. Is the floor going to be done?
They promised us by the end of September, so I'm hoping it's done by the time we have our first actual practice, which will be about October 17th, give or take, right there at, I can't remember, I think it's the 17th, I think it's actually the first day of fall break this year for the girls, and then, of course, October 31st, we play a scrimmage over at Union County, so we'll have a little bit another week, but I'm hoping by the time the girls' season starts, but you know how sometimes construction projects go, and I just chuckled to myself, I said, you don't ever want to have to move a game from your house, but by golly, you can't move the one before Thanksgiving, or myself and Ryan at Union County we may be in trouble somewhere along the line. So, but I hope when it comes back in, it's going to look just like it looked when it went out. Maybe when we get to the first sanding, we might think of a new design to put on the floor. But I'm a pretty much traditionalist guy, and I kind of like how it looks. You can maybe tweak a little. I'm not a big fan of the big skylines in the floor, and a couple of schools in surrounding area have letters that are so big they take up the entire center court, and to me it just gets busy after a while.
We have some pictures, I think, of some of the floor work. We can see those right now.
Well, obviously he's getting there and cutting out. I don't know if we're talking live here or not, but
yeah,
I understand what he's going through. Now I didn't actually have to cut it out of the floor, but I know how heavy that piece is he's taking up. I've had
They moved a lot of it.
I had 15 pallets with 20 sheets of 4x4 wood on it with some other straggling pieces. And of course, you see what got moved out of the middle. And it's just been an interesting process to see it go out and come in. And of course, right now it's kind of boring taking pictures because it's just cement drying.
So the cement was the old cement was taken out.
Yeah,
and then what happened? What's under a floor?
Well, under this one was, of course, rock, and then there was old clay tile.
Okay.
From the east side of the bleachers and the west side, I believe there were 5 drains that come out of the side of the bleachers and 4 on the north and the south end. And of course, you know how clay tile is after 60 years of being in the ground and shifting and moving. There were places where it was an inch apart, so things weren't connected together, and rock had gotten down in and plugged it. So they took all the drains out. They took all the old rock out and put new, was it number 8 river rock or whatever in it. But they put some new piping underneath and connected all those drains and then run it back to the sump pump down under the floor. And then once they did that, they put a vapor membrane down, which is a rubberized surface, which should allow the water not to come up from the bottom if it does come up to get to the floor. And then on top of that, they poured the 6 inches of cement. And then on top of that, they'll put shims with rubber pieces that will lay the floor on top of it. And it's supposed to look just like it did when it went out.
So no bounce like we feel at Chrysler Fieldhouse when you sat on the floor?
It will have a little bit more bounce than what Spartan Bowl did. Spartan Bowl just had shims that set right, wooden shims, not little, that set right down on the cement. So in certain places, it should have a little bit, but that's for safety purposes. They figured out that they can take out about 60% of your energy. Going to Chicago, I learned a lot about floors, but if I jump straight up and down, all my energy should dissipate in a 24-inch radius. And then that way, if Fran jumps next to me, we don't get the old trampoline effect, and the floor just keeps sinking. So they've played with a lot of different bounces from basketball to volleyball. Volleyball has to worry about the ball bouncing back up, so it will absorb much more of your shock coming down than a basketball court will.
Of course, volleyball is not played in that
That's
facility.
correct, although it's been pushed at me, but that's okay. They actually say the NBA floors are some of the worst ones to play on because they get taken in and taken out. There's not a lot of cushion and spring underneath of them. So
I know there was some talk that you might make it look like the Newcastle floor, which I didn't like. I just don't like the Newcastle floor, so we went back to.
Yeah, I mean, the parquet is something. It's not like the Boston Gardens, and I think I like what it looks like. It's a basketball court. It's plain. It's simple. You know where the lines are at, and I'm not going to say anything's wrong with Newcastle. It's better when they had the lanes painted green, but and the tartan floor they used to have in there, which was miserable to play on. But no, I told them when they took it out, I want to see it come back in like it looks. And then in 10 years or so, when we sand it and we want to change the design a little bit, maybe that's the time to change it after we get it in.
After the new floor's put in, does it have to be sanded and then finished?
Yeah, once they put it in, they'll sand it and then they'll put all the stripes and stuff on it so it's level, and they'll urethane it and coat it, and it's now more, or whatever they do to it, it's more water stained than it is oil stained, so the blondness of the maple will be a little blonder for longer because the oil used to stain it to a yellowish color, and this should stay a little more white.
That'll be good.
So it's the #1 maple coming from the northern Wisconsin above the 38th parallel. So growing season is short, so the rings are tighter, so the wood's a little harder.
And you are a wood expert.
I learned more about wood in 8 hours at the Kiefer Floor Company in Chicago than I ever thought of the Connor Floor Company.
You have great plans for the center circle.
Well, I think I got to get a person in that can look, and if you go to the bowl, and it can be done. I don't know if it can be done yet or not, but in the southwest corner of the bowl, as you buy your ticket at the ticket window and you come across the hall and you step into the first doors where my 2 ticket takers, Linda Paul and Angela Gettinger, are, that cement slab there I'd like to have cut out and have the center floor sunk right there, and then some type of safety glass over the top so when you come in after buying your ticket, you can walk across the old center court. But we'll see how that goes. I've got to find the right guy that can put that in.
You told me it's 12 by 12 feet?
The actual diameter of the actual circle itself is 12 foot in diameter, so they cut it out into 13-foot square. So they can trim it a little bit, but it's too hard to put circles in, so it has to be kind of in a square. So
I think that
if it can work,
right.
That's great.
If it can work, we'll see. It's just too heavy to put on a wall, and if you've been in Spartan Bowl, you know there's no 12 foot by 12 foot wall section that we have space to hang.
Well, we got a lot of things hanging.
And it'll weigh 1,500 pounds probably, and I'd be afraid it'd fall off the wall.
72 and 83 banners, we don't want to move those guys. What's the hardest job as being an athletic director?
I don't know that there's anything that I would say just as hard. I think your biggest fear is I'm traveling on Tuesday night, and that bus that I'm traveling to is passing you coming the other direction on Tuesday night. So you're always looking and checking each week, hey, I got us coming to your place, so that way we don't pass ships in the night, going. That's always the biggest fear. I always joke with Shane, my assistant, and Wendy, the secretary, and Brian, our athletic custodian, who does an outstanding job with all our facilities. But if I see 2 teams and the right amount of officials and my workers, everything else is a piece of cake. You just adjust those things on the fly. So,
Sam, I know you join me in appreciating everything Brent does for us.
Oh, absolutely, and always very accommodating.
Yes.
For us with the radio, and I know when you and Ronnie are down there doing the TV, that anything we need, he's always right there.
That's right. Yeah. We want to thank him for joining us. Do you have any closing words for?
No, it's just 30 minutes is going very fast, and looking forward to many more. And I know we'll have Brent back as the season progresses here.
Hey, broadcaster just around the corner, and good luck. Thanks a lot for joining us here. I
appreciate it. Good luck to all the
Report.
Spartans team. I'm excited.
That's the Spartans Report for right now. Thanks for joining us, everybody.